Thank you, Chairman Miller. Yesterday we commemorated a somber anniversary. 6 years ago, the United States suffered the most devastating terrorist attack in our nation's history. It was a day of tragedy, but also a day of heroism. In the minutes, hours, days, and weeks following the attacks on our nation, thousands of responders, workers, and volunteers converged on the sites of the attacks in an effort to rescue the wounded and recover those who were lost. In New York, the brave men and women who rushed to the World Trade Center found themselves facing an incomprehensible scene of destruction, the likes of which no one could have anticipated. On that horrific day, the only concern on the minds of responders was preventing further loss of American lives. The topic of today's hearing is the health and safety conditions at the time of the attack and in its aftermath. And certainly we all look back at the devastation and consider the dangers encountered at that site among the tragic consequences of the attack on this great country. However, in hindsight, we must try to remember the unprecedented circumstances thrust upon our responders, workers, and volunteers, and on the safety officials overseeing that effort. We must try to comprehend the challenges they faced and the decisions they made in the split seconds after terrorists carried out an unthinkable attack. That is not to say that the health and safety of those on the scene weren't a critical concern then as they are today, nor is it meant to imply that safety personnel did not act quickly to address these challenges. Indeed, OSHA took action immediately after the attacks to assess safety conditions and provide guidance and assistance in the creation and implementation of a safety and health plan, along with the coordination of donations of and distribution of personal protective equipment to workers at the World Trade Center site. Responders did the best they could with the procedures and equipment available to them following the attacks, but the simple reality is that the personal protective equipment and the rescue and recovery procedures were not designed for what they found at the World Trade Center collapse. The unprecedented nature of the attacks presented the recovery team with unprecedented challenges. I appreciate the purpose of today's hearing, which is to hear the stories of those who may be suffering as a result of the conditions at the attack site, as well as to hear about what was done to protect those participating in the recovery and what may be done in the event of future disasters. The title of today's hearing asks why the workers were not protected. I believe that title suggests a lack of concern for the health and safety of those brave rescue workers, a suggestion that is both unfair and inaccurate. But I hope today we can take a step back to look also at what protections were offered and to acknowledge the impossible choices that face safety personnel trying to protect rescuers without standing in the way of those who needed to be rescued. I'm mindful that help came in many forms following the 9/11 attacks. Many independent contractors and industries sent heavy machinery, personal protective equipment, and workers to New York to assist in the rescue and recovery. This outpouring of support was no doubt instrumental in the response, and I feel strongly that we must not take any steps that could prevent or delay future private sector aid from reaching disaster areas as quickly as it did after September 11th. We all agree that protecting the brave individuals who respond to disasters is a top priority. And today, as we discuss the health and safety conditions at the site of this despicable terrorist attack in New York, we have an opportunity to once again offer gratitude to those who aided in the rescue and recovery efforts 6 years ago. I'd like to thank the witnesses for being here, and I look forward to their testimony. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.